Traces of the attack on Steepleton can still be seen, but the repair work is coming on well. While taking a rest, you see a cart trundling along the road not far away from you. A young couple are sitting on the box seat, clearly in love and more interested in each other than the rest of the world around them. The sight reminds you of a long unanswered question.
So, I was wondering, what do female dwarves look like?
Pretty. Very pretty.
Uh-huh.
You were expecting a little more information.
Do they have beards?
No, I would say it's more like fluff. Oh, very attractive.
And what do they do? I mean, are they warriors too?
In our kingdom, most take care of domestic life. They take the animals down to the meadows in the valleys, make sure the larders are full and that there's plenty of good beer, and make our clothes.
It only ever causes problems when men and women stand shoulder to shoulder in battle.
Some of them are talented stonemasons and smiths, and beware of insulting their skills. They are no less proud than we are.
By the evening campfire, Boindale rummages around in his rucksack and pulls out a cheese wrapped in a cloth. He sticks a fist-sized piece on a spit and grills it on the fire.
There's nothing better than grilled cheese at the end of a long day.
The smell it gives off makes you hold your breath.
Oh, it smells like my socks after weeks of marching in my boots.
Oh, picky, are you? Hardly surprising, considering you were brought up by humans. It's ruined your taste.
Boindale holds the stinky cheese at the end of the stick under your nose.
Eat, and stop complaining.
You pull the warm piece of cheese from the stick. It tastes dreadful. Your fingers will smell of it for the next few days, and probably your mouth will too. You arrive at a crossroads with a tavern on the corner. A warm light is emanating from its window, lighting up the road around it. A stone sculpture of a sheep stands in front of the door, and above it a sign, swaying gently in the breeze, reads, "The Stone Sheep." You enter the tavern with a determined stride, and are greeted by a thick wall of pipe smoke. The dozen or so drinkers at the tables turn towards you, then give each other astonished and slightly worried looks. In the tavern there are half a dozen people sitting at the tables, and just as many at the bar, clearly farmers and labourers from the surrounding villages. Boindale pays no attention to the other guests and trudges over to a table. Together with his brother, you follow him and sit down. The landlord comes out from behind the bar.
What can I get you?
You hear surly muttering from one of the tables.
What are groundlings doing showing their faces here, now of all times?
I wouldn't mind a pint of ale.
The landlord nods and takes the twins' order too. Shortly after, he returns with your beers and puts them down in front of you.
Is that all?
We're tired and long for a proper bed.
Of course, gentlemen.
You spend a restful night in the tavern and then head off on your way again. A colourful trader's wagon drawn by two stocky horses is coming towards you. A small man is sitting on the box seat, and as soon as he sees you, the wagon slows down. As it draws to a stop next to you, you realise that the driver isn't human. He's a dwarf.
Greetings, my friends. All too rarely does one meet wayfaring dwarves around here. You can call me Mort.
Greetings, Mort. I am Tungdil. This is Boindil and Boendal.
You are happy to meet another dwarf, and such a friendly and eloquent one at that.
Wayfaring dwarves may not be common, but a travelling dwarf trader? Now that really is weird.
Then you see what great luck it is that we've met like this. Come, have a look at my wares. I'm sure you'll find something to make a dwarf's life a little sweeter. I'll make you a good price.
Mort, I hope you don't mind me asking, but which kingdom are you from?
The dwarf's clothes seem more like those of humans, and he isn't bearing any coat of arms.
My kingdom? Is that important? I'm my own kingdom. I go where I please and enjoy the fresh air and the sun on me skin.
At your side, Boindil is tensing his muscles, and you think you see from the corner of your eye his hands moving a little nearer to the handle of his axes.
Is your kingdom important?
You two must be secondlings, right? I can tell by your armour. But you...
He looks you over for a while.
You're not a secondling, are you?
As you yourself don't know for sure which kingdom you belong to, you give no answer and just shrug your shoulders. Mort throws you a knowing glance and nods slowly.
Where are you heading?
To Clintel, a small village where I can expect to do very little business. But the people there are nice and kind. I've known some of them since they were smaller than me. Isn't it astounding how much they manage to achieve in such short lives?
After glancing at Boindil's grave expression, Mort continues unfazed.
I can say in all certainty that there's not the same ambition to make a difference and change things in our halls.
That is because there is no reason to change things if you do them right first time. We dwarves think first before acting.
As it is Boindil of all people making such a claim, you're sure it must be a joke. But your friend continues to eye the trader with a serious and distrustful look.
I grew up with Maguslot Yonan in Yonandar. I would have given anything to meet someone like you.
I rarely leave this area. People know me here, so the abuse isn't too bad.
Mort shrugs his shoulders, as if it were no big deal. When he sees the concerned look on your face, he adds,
I don't blame them. It's our fault too. We turned our backs on other races. People fear what they don't know.
We must press on. It was a pleasure meeting you, Mort.
Mort smiles.
The feeling is mutual, Tungdil. Vrakas be with you.
Mort spurs the horses on, and the colourful wagon jolts into motion.
You shouldn't be so trusting.
The wagon is no more than a few yards away when Boindil looks at you reproachfully.
A dwarf who lives alone among humans for years on end and disowns his kingdom? Don't you know what that means?
He's an outcast, Tungdil. His kingdom and his clan have banished him. It's a severe punishment, only dealt out for serious offences.
The twins enter into a long discussion about what crime the trader may have committed, and go on to teach you the basics of dwarven law. As dramatic as their accounts may be, you didn't have the impression that Mort was a criminal, nor that he suffered particularly from his exile. You arrive at a small, bustling village. One thing is clearly missing from the lively scene: the sound of metal on metal from the village smithy that would normally be heard above everything else at this time of day. A dour, grim-looking man is sitting in front of the forge, with his right arm in a sling. His expression brightens as he sees you, and he jumps to his feet.
Dear Dwarves, could I interest you in helping me in my workshop for a day?
The man's expression is somewhere between desperation and hope. As you don't answer immediately, he continues.
You will, of course, be royally rewarded for your work. I can offer you 100 gold pieces.
I could help you, but compared to human standards, I'm a master smith, so my services will cost you more.
The smith gulps.
More? How much?
Double. My services should be worth that.
Anger and indignation are written across the man's face.
That's much too much. I could have the smith in the neighbouring village do my work for cheaper. I won't pay more than I offered. Take it or leave it.
You agree, and the smith nods sullenly. His preconceptions about dwarves have been confirmed.
These two need shoeing. Oh, no problem.
The man doesn't look convinced, but you get to work with confidence after examining the horse's hooves. Two more armed men are standing next to the horses, sizing you up.
So, you're mercenaries, I take it?
You're only trying to engage in conversation, but the man looks at you incredulously, as if he didn't expect dwarves to be able to talk.
Something like that.
Got lots of work? Oh, do you know anything about the armies of orcs from the south?
We can't complain.
The man's tone makes it clear that the conversation has ended here. You carry out the work in silence. As the leader of the mercenaries pays you, you have the feeling that he is trying to transfix you with his eyes. The men leave the workshop without a word. You ignore the horsemen and concentrate on your work. When you tell the twins about your visitors later on, they know exactly who you're talking about. They encountered them on the way back from hunting. You spend the night in the smith's house and continue on your way, with your well-earned reward the next morning. You approach the village and can tell even from far off that something isn't right. The smell of burnt wood and death is in the air.
By Vrachus.
The piggies have really shown those pointy ears. We couldn't have done it any better.
Stay alert. I want to find out what happened to Goren.
You have read about the elves and their buildings. This here had always just been a small example of their architectural skill, which achieved perfection in Alandur. Now burning and ruined, the pavilion makes an even sadder impression. The hand that painted this picture was that of a master. It is composed exclusively in shades of red, but every single little detail is painstakingly and precisely reflected. Trees, the remains of buildings, bodies. You hesitate.
This picture portrays the village in its state of ruin.
Examining the canvas more closely, you realize that it is actually made of skin, and the red paint seems more than suspicious now.
This is the most disgusting thing I have ever seen.
The smell of the smoke has accompanied you for a while now, but here so close to the bodies. It is masked by the sweet smell of death. You have a bitter taste in your mouth and have to pull yourself together to avoid vomiting in disgust.
Hoofprints! Burned into the ground!
How far?
The fire in Boindill's eyes flares up with delight.
Huzzah! That would make a change from those stupid Peggies. Did you hear that, brother? We might get to test our blades on Tion's pointy ears.
Green Glade was one of the few places in Girdlegard where humans and elves lived together. You don't see any elven features among all the faces contorted with pain and fear. You look away. The elf maiden's graceful snow-white face still radiates beauty, in terrible contrast to the rest of her appearance. From the neck down, she is nothing more than a blood-red, damp and glistening skeleton. There are long nails sticking through her thin bones, and where her beautiful eyes once were, are now gaping black holes. In your imagination, you see the Alfar's shadow mare standing around the Lady of Greenglade, devouring her, while she, nailed to the tree, squirms and screams in pain. You quickly put your hand over your mouth. The body of the man is riddled with arrows and is lying in a small patch of undamaged ground, while a sea of flames must have raged in a circle around him. The robes remind you of those of Lot Yonan's famuli. This, plus the fact that the man used magic, makes you quite sure that this is Guren.
Guren had these books on him when he was attacked. Was he trying to bring them to safety?
Your eyes fall upon a sealed letter next to the books. The circumstances seem grave enough for you to break the seal.
Greetings, Turga. I am glad to hear that you finally wish to confide in Lot Yonan. I have found out something new about the demon. It's all written in these books. I think they are the key to his destruction, or I hope so, at least. Yours faithfully, Guren. What demon are they talking about?
You instinctively think about how the magical barrier is only a few days' march north of here, and beyond it, Varakas only knows what kind of creatures live in the Perish Land.
You destroyed my painting. Now I need fresh blood to paint a new one.
Huzzah! This will be fun! We finally get to fight!
I hope your blood doesn't clot too much. It has to be nice and fluid for my fine brushstrokes.
Ha! How do you plan to defeat us, pointy ears? There are 3 of us.
Oh, only 3. That makes it easier.
She looks over the corpses.
Otharin Lueth Buanre!
What's happening?
That's the perished land.
Impossible! Greenglade is south of the barrier.
I know of nothing else that can resurrect the dead. Knock their heads off or they'll keep coming back.
On my way. Attack! Kill! Varakas!
Yes! I didn't hit you very hard!
Understood. At once. Attack! They're hitting me pretty hard! I need help over here! Quickly! At once. They're hitting me pretty hard! And again. Fire dead! Understood.
He hardly put up a fight!
On my way.
What is it?
Kill!
And what now?
Watch the dance!
For Brachus!
Yes? Who's next? All right. Huzzah! Huzzah!
Yes, yes!
Yeah!
Understood.
Attack! What is it? Bad luck for you! I'll be ready! What is it? Yeah!
They're hitting me pretty hard!
Don't rush me!
And what now? He hardly put up a fight!
Too easy! Huzzah!
Yes. End it. Understood.
Yeah! What is it?
What is it?
Who's next?
On my way. For Brachus! Understood.
He hardly put up a fight! And what now? Of course!
Yeah!
I am bow and dog! Give me a hand!
For Brachus!
What is it? With pleasure. Oh, what bad luck for
Yes,
you!
yes!
And again.
Dwarves, you protected the glade. The perished land. The barrier has fallen.
You can feel your stomach cramping. Unlike Boindale, you can't say a word.
The damn Magi only had one job!
So this is what it is like to rise from the dead. I feel nothing. I am left with nothing. My love, my beauty, my home, and my forest. Everything has been taken from me. I beg you, have mercy and put an end to my suffering.
Without even being able to look into her eyes, you recognize the sadness in the elf maiden's expression. The dignity that she must once have radiated can only be imagined in her current state.
Garen was here, and I've heard that you elves have special abilities in battle. Did the Alfar take you by surprise in your sleep?
I felt her presence, but when I confronted the elf, she had already killed the first of us and resurrected the perished land. It fills humans and dwarves with a hatred for life. It turns you into beasts. They charged through the village like a fury, and everyone that they killed became one of theirs.
If the perished land spreads further south, then Nodon won't need any orcs, ogres, or Alfar. One human losing their life in the perished land would be enough for the madness to sweep through the land like the plague.
Your stomach turns, but you know that it's right. You've never seen the twins looking so serious. They would pit themselves against any army of orcs, but this is something beyond their power, and yours.
We need the Magi. They must rebuild the barrier. We must go to Lot before the perished land spreads further. He will know what is to be done.
Neither of your companions objects.
I can't believe it. The barrier has fallen. How could that happen?
Who could tell? Anything could go wrong with all that hocus-pocus.
It had held back the perished land since the fall of the Fifthlings. Reinforcing the barrier whenever it loses power is the primary duty of the Great Magi. I can't imagine how Nodon or anyone else could have broken through it.
You think of the demons mentioned in Garen's letter. You wonder whether it could be possible that a demon from the outer lands might possess powers so great that even the 6 Magi weren't ready for it.